All right, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the public launch of the ERA Project Model Policy Agenda. It's a real honor to be here with everyone that we love and we admire. Just looking around this room, it's truly a brain trust for justice and equality. So thank you for taking the time and spending this morning with us. My name is Ting Chang. I'm the director of the ERA project at Columbia Law School. We are a law and policy think tank. We provide expert legal guidance, strategic leadership on the finalization of the federal ERA and on the role of the ERA in advancing the larger cause of gender-based justice. We essentially exist to do this kind of work with you all, the back of local, state level advocates, and to push the national conversation on equality and justice. We're housed at the Center for Gender and Sexuality Law. The mission of the organization is to formulate new approaches to complex issues within the gender justice movements. Our founding director, Catherine Franke, is with us today, and you'll hear from her during our convening this afternoon. And let me know if you want me to be louder. Okay, so today is Constitution Day, a day recognizing the adoption of the U.S. Constitution in 1787. Recognizing our Constitution means recognizing that it was drafted to intentionally leave out women, people of color, Indigenous people, immigrants, and many others, most of the people in this room. And what's more, we have a current Supreme Court majority applying the Constitution and a theory of originalism to interpret the Constitution as it was originally intended. Yet no framer ever imagined women and people of color in the roles that we play today. So today, we're coming together with our fantastic partner organizations, our dedicated elected officials in Nevada to advance equality and justice for all. We're launching our model policy agenda in Nevada is particularly fitting. You all know this. Nevada crucially led the way in the ratification of the federal ERA in 2017. Years after ERA advocates had given up the fight. Additionally, Nevada passed the visionary state ERA in 2022, the first state to do so post-Dobbs, which goes beyond the language of the federal ERA by prohibiting discrimination based on race, color, creed, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, age, disability, ancestry, and national origin. This is visionary. You all showcase the state as a leader and beacon in gender equality, and you demonstrate the power of commitment and action. Nevada continues to be at the forefront of expanding sex equality rights by working to enshrine reproductive rights in the state constitution. So that's coming. We're thrilled to be joined by the leaders of these efforts today and who Jerry Burton calls the Vegas royalty. So here we are today. And as Senator Pat Spearman once said, equality is not just a word, it's a mission we must undertake together. So your presence underscores our collective commitment to these values. So together with the launch of our model policy agenda, with the advancements of all of your agendas, your hopes and dreams and goals for the Nevada ERA, we can make a profound and lasting impact. Thank you for joining us today. Speaking of commitment and action, I'd like to introduce Naomi Young, our law and policy associate, who has poured herself into the model policy agenda and organizing this event. And she's going to speak about our report.
Amazing. This is really exciting. This was a long time in the making. I've actually worked on the model policy agenda since I started at the ERA project a year ago. So for me, it's been a year in the making. For the project, it's been many years. And we've always known that we were going to launch it in Nevada because of the incredible advocacy community here. And we're very lucky to know Jerry Burton, everyone's friend here, who brought us all together today. So incredibly excited to be launching what we're hoping is going to be a national movement in the Silver State, in this absolutely wild city of Las Vegas. And we wouldn't have it any other way because this is the state of ERA revivers. And the nation is genuinely looking at you, not just to save democracy, but to model what sex equality in the 21st century should and can look like. Very literally looking at you, we're flew in from New York, where we are about to vote on a equal rights amendment on our ballot in November that was very much inspired by all of you. For the first time recognizing gender and sexuality in your state ERA. We will be doing the same thing, bringing out the vote to do that. And I know Minnesota, Ohio, Maine, so many other states looking. So this is the next phase. We didn't just, put equality in the Constitution as a symbol. We are acting on it. We're putting it to work. We are implementing it. This model policy agenda is a roadmap for state and local executives, legislators, and advocates like you to be doing that, to have an idea of like, this is how we are actually going to realize the promise of sex equality and protections against many forms of discrimination that you all preserved in your Constitution and worked so hard to do, and make it a concrete reality for the people that need it the most. And that's really the focus of the model policy agenda is, those who are experiencing, an intersectional disadvantages caused by discrimination based on sex, based on race, based on disability, sexuality, gender, and making sure that we are reaching those issues. And we'll talk more this afternoon and we'll little strategy session together about what that could look like in Nevada. But briefly, we're looking at mainstreaming sex equality throughout government. That could look like gender impact assessments, making sure that we're mainstreaming sex equality throughout data collection in the first place. I know there are concrete ways in which that sort of information would be valuable for you in advocating for different policy changes. It could look like making sure that any new proposed policy is not going to worsen the status of sex equality, and that existing programs and services are being evaluated for how well they're serving Nevadans. And it could look like making sure that we're sort of centralizing the way that we're overseeing the implementation of your ERA and having a central authority. It could look like, creating an agenda together that you're all committed to that has to do with sex equality, and thinking about that really expansively, from reproductive rights to tax policies, and thinking about the way that things that you don't necessarily think of as a sex equality issue 100% may prevent or advance equality across Nevada. And I'm really excited about the speakers we have today, because I feel like everyone thinks that way, that we have on the lineup very visionary folks who are responsible for the fact that Nevada is a leader in the country, in addition to all of our incredible advocates here. Very excited to welcome Shelley Berkley, Congresswoman Berkley, who has served, I don't really feel like I need to introduce you all to each other. You all know that has served.
I love hearing it.
Someone who needs no introduction, Las Vegas royalty. You have served as a U.S. representative for over a decade, and has served, in education and higher ed at Touro University most recently, and is now the leading candidate for mayor of Las Vegas. Excited to have you here, and would love to welcome you to the podium.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. So, with the mayor's race, I don't focus on what I'm doing until it's actually the day of. So yesterday I was driving with Jerry Schroeder, wherever she is. Oh, there you are, right in front of me. And I said, oh my God, I said, I'm giving a speech on the ERA, and I don't know what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm supposed to do. So we called Jerry in the car, and I said, what exactly are we doing? So I never talk from notes, but I took the liberty of writing a few. I was hoping that Pat Spearman would be here and Nicole would be here, but they're not. And I don't think I have to share with anybody the content of the ERA amendment that is now enshrined in the Nevada State Constitution, thanks to their extraordinary efforts. So it is expansive, it is remarkable, and I don't know what I could do to add to it, but I thought perhaps my value is that I've been around so long that I'd like to take a walk down memory lane and give you some idea of what things were like and what my hopes for the future are. But I was a student intern in 1973 in Washington, D.C., working for one of our United States senators, Howard Cannon. And at that time, I thought I was the hottest thing since sliced bread, and I was an intern in DC and starving like all the other interns. And it was right when the Equal Rights Amendment had been introduced. And I thought, why is there so much controversy? And all I kept hearing is sharing bathrooms and how awful this is going to be for women. And we won't be on our pedestals anymore because we're going to be equal to the men. And I thought, well, what exactly does this ERA amendment say? So I called up, this is Senator Howard Cannon's office. Can you please send me a copy of the Equal Rights Amendment as it's proposed? And they, in fact, I came to my office the next morning, and on my desk was a piece of paper with a couple of sentences. And I looked at this innocuous document, and I thought, oh no, this can't be it. There's nothing in here controversial or bad or is going to knock me off my pedestal or make me share a bathroom at the exact same time as men. And so I called back and I said, I need you to give me the full Equal Rights Amendment. And the next day on my desk was the two sentences again. And I thought, this is the most preposterous argument that anybody could possibly make, and why could anybody possibly be opposed to this? I am old, and I was born in 1951. In the early 50s, there was a show called Romper Room. Yes. And for those of us, and the lady that would look in her mirror and see all the children out there and mention their names, it was during the thalidomide crisis where women were taking this drug during pregnancy for nausea. And as it turned out, it created deformities in the baby. And so this woman who had been on television with children as the hostess of Romper Room had taken thalidomide, knew her baby was going to be hideously deformed and probably would not survive. And she could not get an abortion in this country. And I thought to myself, even at a very young age, certainly young enough to be watching Romper Room, that there's a fundamental unfairness here. For people like that woman who were wealthy, they had options. They could travel to another country. They could take care of themselves. But for the majority of women that needed this procedure and were too poor to be able to travel to another country in order to get this procedure performed, they harmed themselves. That's when the backroom abortions were taking place. And why would any of us want our fellow citizens to be subjected to this when you can get a safe and good abortion that isn't going to harm you and harm your ability to have children later in life. And it seemed like such a ridiculous thing. So when Roe v. Wade was passed, I remember rejoicing as a much older woman, or older youngster, because this was something that made sense to me. And in a million years, I would have never dreamed in my lifetime that our Supreme Court would have overturned it. But what is remarkable now is that women no longer are going to take this sitting down. And that is why a state after state that has put this on their ballot, they've won. And the reason is the fundamental fairness and the indecency of having your government tell you what you can and cannot do with your body. It is appalling in the year 2024 that we are having the same discussions that we were having in the 1950s regarding women. And if this is a way of keeping us on our pedestals, I honestly do not wish to be there. And it's just so, I don't think, because we take our rights for granted, although after Roe v. Wade, I think we know how fragile this is. But in 1974, it was the first time that women actually were able to get credit in our own name. Imagine this. That you, and I remember distinctly for many, many years, the woman that created Weight Watchers, her name was Jean Nidetch. She lived in Las Vegas, was very active at UNLV, a big, big contributor. That's when I was on the Board of Regents. And I remember her telling her story. Now she had a multi-billion-dollar company, but she said when I started it, she said her husband at the time was a bus driver. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a bus driver, but he didn't even have a high school education. She had this concept. She had this idea. She had saved her money, $1,900 that started Weight Watchers. And but she had to take her husband, who was a bus driver that had never finished high school, to the bank in order to get a loan to start Weight Watchers. How insane is that? And I was already, by then I was in law school, and having credit in my own name, is there even a question that any of us would go and get credit if we needed it, or get a credit card? Imagine living your life right now in 2024 and not being able to get to use your credit card, or to be able to apply for a credit card because on the basis of your gender. I mean, it's an anathema to my thinking. It just makes no sense. When I was in Congress, we worked very, very hard on equal pay for equal work. Again, something that is so elusive. How could anybody dispute the fact if you're putting in the same hours, if you're doing the same job as a man, that you shouldn't get compensated commensurate with what that man is receiving as an income? And for many years, I heard the argument that, well, because he's a breadwinner and has to support a family, consequently, that justifies giving him more money. Because women, this isn't going to be a career for you. You're going to stop working and have children. And so you don't need to make as much money because chances are you've got a man supporting you. Well, life has changed dramatically. And if it ever was that, and the fact that we're still arguing about equal pay for equal work is absolutely shocking to me. And that's why what Nevada did, and by passing this comprehensive, extraordinary ERA amendment, and it's enshrined in our Constitution so that it's protected and consequently protects us, is so very important, not only to the future of all of the women that call Las Vegas home, but to our daughters and our granddaughters. I now have grandchildren. I have a little 8-year-old grandbaby daughter. And the idea that she would not be treated as an equal citizen, that she wouldn't have control of her own decisions when it comes to her reproductive health care is such an anathema to me and my family and our way of thinking that I realize. And perhaps this is why I've had a long career. I've been around so long that people that didn't like me now. They don't remember why they didn't like me. So I get that. That's just great that I've experienced this renaissance. But I also realize that there is so much more to do. We are not done yet. And the fact that we are now dealing with I hate to even, let me say this, I do not know a single woman that is pro-abortion. I mean, that is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Now, nobody wants to have a medical procedure, but if you need it, it should be available, it should be safe, and it should be your decision. And years ago, I used to say, because it was, the tenor of the times, that, a woman should make this decision with her husband and her religious leader and her doctor. Bullshit. No, I am capable enough of making my own decision where I don't have to sit down and talk to my religious leader. I don't think my rabbi knows anything more than I do about my body. And many women do not have the luxury of sitting down and talking to their husbands. So why should you have to do this? So I am thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled because and let me say this, when I went to law school, and neither one of my parents graduated high school. My grandparents came here in order to escape the Holocaust, couldn't speak English, had no money. They just survived by coming to America. I love this country. I mean, for me, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the United States of America. I'm an attorney and I love that Constitution with all of its omissions because we are able to be, until now, we have been able to improve upon it and bring those people that were excluded as part of the fabric of our country. What is worrying me now is what the Supreme Court is doing. When I was in law school, I revered the members of the Supreme Court. I thought, oh my gosh, the Supreme Court member, they're so worldly, they're so knowledgeable. I never saw such a bunch of idiots in my life. And they're a danger to the Constitution and they're a danger to our democracy. And that is why, and I'll conclude, that is why what we are doing here in Nevada is so very important, why what you're all doing here is so very important, not only for us, it's for future generations. And this election, our democracy and everything we aspire to, we may not have reached it yet, everything we aspire to in this country is on the line.
Yep.
And so the fact that you're all here today makes me happy because together we can protect our democracy. I never realized how fragile it is. We can ensure that everybody, no matter who you are, what's your cultural identity, what's your gender identity, whoever you are in this country, you are an equal citizen that needs to be protected and respected for who you are and what you are. And I'll conclude with this because I mentioned it to Dallas. My son Sam is married to a Laotian woman. So I have an Asian Jewish grandbaby that doesn't look anything like me. It look just like Vilay's family. And I look at that little boy, he's 2 years old now, and I think this is the future of America. This kid is America in the 21st century. Let's celebrate it. Let's use it to our advantage so that all of us are treated equally and the same, including my little Asian grandbaby. And so with that, thank you all for being here. Thank you for including me in this event. And don't forget, if any of you don't vote in this election, don't ever talk to me. Thank you for all the marble. And I don't want Donald Trump again.
Amazing. I should have said, we're really lucky to have not only Shelley Berkley, but Heidi Parry Stern, Dallas Harris, Karen Jenkins, and Kathy Charles with us today. And we are going to save some time at the end, and I know we're running late for questions so that you get to, and if any of you have to run out, totally understand. But I also wanted to get that beautiful selfie moment at the end of this event with all of us together. So yeah, so let me know if you need to run out and we'll.
I've gotta leave.
You gotta leave?
Yeah.
Should we
You're telling me now?
Can we take a selfie right now? Okay.
I'm so sorry to
Okay,
do that.
no problem. Can we hand off the camera? Should we? Why don't you see this one? You gotta get off, so I'm gonna have you go. Yeah.
You're laughing.
You're on what time?
State time.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Where do you want us?
You want us to stand up or sit down?
Sit down, stand up.
Oh,
Stand up. I think stand up maybe in front of the wall.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, face the wall?
Yeah,
So that
get in formation.
Like a, oh,
So that
okay.
everybody-
And maybe.
Like a
hold that.
formal.
Okay.
Bring everybody or? Not that they're just doing it. You wanted everybody to die.
No, I think. Actually.
Oh, yes, it is. All right, good. You have Are we good?
Yeah.
See everybody?
Everyone has to look at the same camera.
Yeah,
otherwise
can
it's-
somebody tell us?
Okay, raise your hand.
Yeah.
Start,
Raise your-
Deidre, we'll go Deidre, then this way, pictures.
What are we doing?
We're all looking at the
Doing
same
the
camera.
report.
So you're doing
Over
first.
there, over there.
Take
We're
your
looking
photo.
at you now.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
Then
And then
Boyd
we'll do it in a minute.
Sula. 1, 2, 3.
Take a few.
Jerry.
Yeah.
Monet's one of my amazing former students from Columbia High.
Okay.
Look at Brendan. All right, then Regina. Oh, we're looking at Brendan now. Oh, Brendan.
Okay, and then right here, 1, 2, 3. Got it?
No, go over that way.
We'll share.
Okay. Everywhere.
2, 1. Done it.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I got a program, so yeah, I got you. I love it. It's the whole, it's actually the whole. project.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I'm gonna try. All right.
Okay, thanks for the selfie moment, and I want to make sure I get y'all out of here in decent time.
All right.
I'm particularly excited to introduce Senator Dallas Harris. Yeah. They have some very cool electives. I had no idea. I nerded out a little bit because I share, there's also a consumer law attorney. We need more consumer law attorneys in our state legislatures. They understand what the actual issues are that people face and the power that government has to protect them and serve their interests in a really meaningful way and meeting people at the vulnerabilities that can and should be addressed. So already a huge fan of Nevada local government and in Terrace, particularly for all of the causes that you champion. And you're all very lucky to have Senator Harris. So I'm excited to turn this over to you.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Yeah. Who actually read this thing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My name is Dallas Harris. I'm a state senator here in District 11. My apologies that the majority leader could not be with you. She just had a baby. And so she is taking, yay, yes, number 3.
Yeah.
And so she is taking a very well-earned mommy time break with her young children, 3 under 3.
Wow.
Her husband is probably
boys,
one of the
right?
greatest
All
guys.
3
Yes,
boys?
all 3 boys. So just say a prayer for her later.
Exactly.
And then also, sorry that Senator Spearman couldn't be here as well. But I'm happy to be here with you all, and I hope that you will accept me instead. So it's a pleasure to be here with you today as we launch the model policy agenda for state equal rights amendments. This agenda represents more than a set of policy recommendations. It embodies the tireless work of advocates committed to building a more just and equitable world, a world where sex equality is not just an idea, but a reality. Here in Nevada, we've already taken some significant steps that show how transformative state-level action can be. In 2016, Nevada ratified its own Equal Rights Amendment, as we've already heard, enshrining in our state constitution protections not only on the basis of sex, but also on the basis of race, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, and disability. This modern approach to equality is exactly the kind of forward-thinking vision that this model policy agenda calls for. With our ERA, Nevada's demonstrated what's possible when state constitutions are used as tools to promote and protect equality for all. We've gone further to ensure our ERA reflects the needs of today's world, recognizing that equality is intersectional and that we must protect the rights of everyone, regardless of their background or identity. But it doesn't stop there. Nevada has also been a leader in the fight for reproductive justice. We've passed laws safeguarding abortion rights, especially critical now in the wake of Supreme Court's decision overturning Roe v. Wade. These protections are grounded in our belief that bodily autonomy is central to gender justice. And we've made sure our state's policies reflect that. Another area where Nevada has taken bold action is ensuring LGBTQ+ rights. As we speak, Nevada continues to refine and expand protections for gender identity and expression, ensuring that individuals in our state, regardless of their gender identity, have access to equal rights under the law. We've worked to eliminate discrimination in healthcare, education, and the workplace. And we continue to lead the way in promoting equality for our LGBTQ+ communities. These examples are evidence of what state ERAs can achieve when we fully commit to the fight for justice. And they also illustrate why this model policy agenda is so vital. The steps we've taken in Nevada, like those outlined in this agenda, are part of a broader movement to push beyond symbolic gestures of equality and make sure that principles of fairness, inclusion, and equity are woven into the fabric of every policy, program, and law. The agenda that we're launching today provides a roadmap for that. It offers 3 critical recommendations. 1, mandating gender impact assessments to ensure that existing and proposed policies actively advance sex equality. 2, creating oversight bodies to enforce state ERAs and ensure accountability. And 3, implementing policies to overcome systemic inequalities in areas like reproductive justice, LGBTQ rights, pay equity, public benefits, and gender-based violence. Here in Nevada, we know firsthand the value of such actions. Gender impact assessments, for example, would allow us to assess how existing policies, whether related to budgeting, housing, or healthcare, impact women and other marginalized groups. Nevada's already begun thinking critically about how our state's law can further advance equality, but gender impact assessments would institutionalize that thinking, ensuring that no policy decision leaves women or vulnerable communities behind. Additionally, as we mentioned, the agenda calls for oversight bodies to ensure that state ERAs are not just constitutional words, but living, breathing mandates for change. In Nevada, we've seen the power of having state level protections, but without strong enforcement mechanisms, their full potential cannot be realized. This is why establishing oversight bodies is so critical. Finally, the policies outlined in this agenda, policies that range from ensuring pay equity to expanding access to affordable childcare, will help close the gap between where we are and where we need to be. We've already taken important steps in Nevada, but we have so much more to do. And the path forward is clear. We must continue to act boldly, lead decisively, and fight for the policies that will uplift everyone in our state. I want to thank Columbia Law School's ERA project for their vision and leadership in bringing this agenda to life. Their work provides us with the tools that we all need to make lasting, meaningful change. Together, we have the power to make sex equality a reality, not just here in Nevada, but across the nation. And that's something I'm incredibly proud to be a part of. Thank you.
I think we're done. That pretty much said it all. Thank you so much, Senator Harris.
We just record that and play it on a loop.
Right, I was like, I'm moving to Las Vegas now, so that is my senator. This is very, very exciting. Amazing. I'm really, really grateful to welcome Heidi Parry Stern, the Solicitor General for the great state of Nevada under the Attorney General. And we are so grateful that we have you all to implement the constitutional meaning of the state ERA. Thank you.
So I'm very happy to be here. I want to share a story with you. When I was in the 6th grade, I remember my social studies textbook listed the following as the most recent amendment to the Constitution. Equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Only later did I learn that the textbook had been overly optimistic in its assessment of whether the ERA would be ratified by the requisite 3/4 of the states. This was so upsetting to me that I've never forgotten it. I promised myself as a 12-year-old girl here in the public schools of Nevada, that if I ever had an opportunity to do something to support adoption of this language into the Constitution, I would. And in September of 2022, I had the privilege of sitting at council table in the DC Circuit with Attorney General Aaron Ford to listen to and support the argument of the Illinois Solicitor General, arguing that the ERA had been duly ratified by 3/4 of the states and should be certified as the 28th Amendment to the Constitution. It was a childhood dream come true and a promise to my younger self kept. Now, we didn't ultimately prevail at litigation, but I'm very happy for the attention that we drew to the ERA. And I will say I stand here now today as a proud Nevadan, native Nevadan. After I finished law school, well, actually, I should say, when I turned 18, I left this place, dust in the wind, not looking back. Told my parents they would have to visit me. And then, you know, I went as far away as I could, all over the place. And when I was about 30 years old, I moved back here to clerk for the great Judge Johnny Rawlinson. And as a result, I ended up staying here and have built my legal career here. I am the proud mother of 2 girls. And as they enter into society, I've got 2 teenagers, a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. I am grateful to have the kind of job that I have here in Nevada, grateful to represent the policy decisions and passions of Attorney General Aaron Ford, who I very much admire and who has really led the way in allowing me to be part of this great movement. And I'm thankful to have a job that allows me to participate in creating a better, fairer, more equal and more equitable society, both for myself, for my younger self, as well as for my children. And I look forward to working with you all in turning the abstract idea of equality into a concrete reality. Thank you.
So excited to meet in person, Parry Jenkins, the administrator to the Nevada Equal Rights Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and it's so good to see my friend Jerry here and Naomi and Ting Ting, and I have Hanani Nadeem, who is on the board of the Equal Rights Commission. And so, a dear friend of mine, and meeting new friends today like Deidre. And so one of the things that I want to kind of talk about with the ERA and how proud I am of Jerry's efforts and now and all of you here at Plan and all these beautiful women in this room is that this is not make-believe, because we talk about policy and theory about what equality is, because the opposite of that is discrimination. Guess what, ladies? I deal in discrimination every day, every time my phone goes off, because my job is to oversee the state's equal rights program under the governor, whomever that is. And that has challenges from time to time, depending on political persuasions or people's priorities, because each governor comes in and they have their own set of priorities. But it always seems like civil rights is always kind of last. It's like, you know, it depends on what shoes you're walking in. And so I want to kind of delve into what we really mean when we talk about discrimination and equality, because again, these are, and I feel like President Obama is sitting down with the blessing of, yes, here, preach the gospel of what equality can mean. And it means that because of hardworking people like us and people that are fighting the good work like Heidi and doing the work, people who come to our office who often complain about being discriminated against in housing, in employment, and in public spaces. Their lives are severely impacted because all discrimination means, it's a legal term, we all know this. I didn't go to Columbia, I went to Loyola. Discrimination means different treatment. Different treatment under the law on the basis of what? On the basis of color, race, creed, religion, national origin, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, who you love, how you live. And when we talk about that, I don't even see it as kind of like an issue of autonomy. It's an issue of fundamental rights and dignity to be seen as a person. And when you're in the state of Nevada, our now Constitution says that without distinction, regardless of who you are, where you come from, your first generation, if you're Black, if you're white, if you're other, if you are, if you love who you want to, or it's not traditional, or you're gender non-conforming, or whoever you are, you get a fair shot. And that's my job, to make sure that everybody gets a fair shot. So what types of cases I see as it relates to sex discrimination, as Nadia's seen in the last 12 years in serving this post. And we've done some really interesting cases. We've brought some cases, sexual harassment cases, to public hearing, cases regarding that settled right before we went public on them, regarding race discrimination. When we talk about sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, that all falls under the sex category. So we want to protect on the basis of sex. We want to make sure that if you're a woman, that could mean equal pay in the workplace. We know statistically and with data that women traditionally make less than men despite their qualifications and their ability to do the job just as well, if not better than a man. And why is that? Because we have other ambitions. Sometimes we want to raise a family, go figure. But should raising a family and having to choose between raising your child, sacrificing promotional opportunities because you are choosing to parent, should that be any different than somebody else? No, because data has shown that really women miss out on a lot of promotional opportunities or advancements to gain income because they choose to raise a family. But men don't seem to suffer those same issues or challenges, so it's not on the mainstream. But as Senator Dallas Harris said, and former Congresswoman Shelley Berkley had mentioned, in Nevada, we now have Senator Spearman's bill, which is the equal pay bill, making my agency the enforcement agency that if you are getting an unfair paycheck because you're a woman versus a man, you file with the Equal Rights Commission. And my board with Hanani on there, we make sure it's done. It's very challenging though, because when you talk about discrimination, you have to talk also about courage. And so I kind of want to lean into that really quickly. So we talked about what discrimination is, differential treatment under the law, the different protected classes here, how Nevada upholds that, how the ERA only enforces what we do and makes it even more solid. But when you have to come and bring your case about discrimination to anybody, it takes a great deal of courage. And what do we know about women? What do we know about women?
We're brave.
We're brave. What do we know about what we can do and what we can achieve if we come together? And get things done. And so, and that's why we're all in this very room right now, no matter our differences, racially, our sexual preferences, who we love. We all are here and we're very purpose driven. And I think we all align around the fact that we just want to be seen. And so when people file complaints of discrimination to the state, they come to it with a level of difficulty and great discomfort. And so it's our job to make sure that people feel safe, protected, that all cases are done and settled confidentially, and that the really egregious cases are brought publicly. What I would like to ask with this beautiful model policy agenda is to work collaboratively with you so that we can make sure that the Nevada Equal Rights Commission can implement and adopt a lot of these policies so that we can make sure, whether I'm the administrator or not, whoever's next, we have set core policies to continue to advance the rights of people, regardless of race, religion, age, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, age, all the things, because that's who we are. Because in Nevada, you should get a fair shot, regardless. And the cool thing is, because it's in law, because of courageous women and courageous advocates like yourselves, I don't have to go on policy issues. I don't have to go on what people like to say, we're emotional about this. Like it's, oh, Kara, it's because you're fill in the blank that you feel so strongly. Well, yeah, I do, but it's the law. And so when we enforce the law, that means either it's right or it's wrong. And it makes it so much more easier for me to do my job. And so we'd like to work collaboratively as partners. I appreciate Jerry so much and all the work she's doing it now to make sure that the equal rights in the state of Nevada is looped into all the things that are happening. And congratulations on fantastic policy agenda, because oversight is crucial. A lot of times, I will say this in my practice, it takes the courageous people to record and document and give us the evidence, but proving discrimination is super hard nowadays. Some people make it easy because they're dumb. I'll just leave it at that. They just say how they feel and they don't care. But for the most part in housing, maybe that's that rental application that charges you 3 times the rental amount to apply. Or maybe it's, oh, well, not this unit, but this back unit, because we don't want people to see your car's parked there. It's more covert in the everyday life, the subtleties of everyday living. And so what we need to do is just make sure that our investigators are trained, that our people are equipped, that we also are represented by the AG's office. And we're so grateful for that, that we have great legal minds to support us. But please, guys, make sure that we support all of the things that help make people feel seen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yes.
We're going to implement.
Yes, thank you, Jerry, thank you so much. And thank you, Nadi, too, she's on our board. Yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, all right. Yeah, I think I'm coming to New York. Yeah, I think I was invited to New York.
You are 100% invited to Columbia. You're all invited to Columbia. Please come. No, that's exactly what we had in mind. Let's talk about how the Constitution supports your administrators and your executives. And the mandates that they're already following. I just want to acknowledge that our incredible photographer is actually our faculty director. Very distinguished Professor Catherine Frankie, who is the founding director of the ERA project and the Center for Gender and Sexuality Law, which is our home at Columbia University, leading scholar on sexuality in the law. So yeah, take your opportunity to pick her brain, but also apparently a very skilled photographer. I had no idea, mostly wildlife, but today, our final incredible speaker today, thank you for holding on, Kathy, and I hope that we're okay on schedule for you. Okay, great, thank you. So Kathy is the deputy campaign manager and political director at Nevada Reproductive Freedom for All, because we would be remiss if we did not uplift the abortion amendment. Question six. Hi, everybody. I think I know most folks here, but if you don't know me, my name is Kathy. And like Naomi said, I'm working on the Nevadans for Reproductive Freedom campaign, which is question 650 on the ballot. We are here today kind of standing on the shoulders of our friends who ran the ERA amendment last cycle. You know, you all at Nevada Now, SEIU, the ERA coalition really showed us the way for a constitutional amendment. So we're very happy and honored to be here with you guys and to have you as a part of our coalition for this amendment as well. So what is our constitutional amendment? We are seeking to provide a constitutional right to abortion in Nevada. And of course, my colleagues, friends who spoke before me really did the best intro possible in explaining why this is so critical, why this is so important, and why, especially when we're talking about the ERA, it's essential to women's autonomy and people's, ability to be equal in this country and in our state. We know that, our state protections don't go far enough. We're in one of the most politically unpredictable environments that our country has ever seen, that our state has ever seen. We get more and more politically unpredictable every single year. And we want to ensure that no matter what happens in our state, we have the constitutional right for people to seek abortion in our state. If you look at us on a map, Nevada is surrounded by states with bans and restrictions. And so we are holding the line here for reproductive care. And we know that it's essential for women in our state to feel safe and comfort in their ability to have this option should they need to use it. We see patients every single year that come to us because this is their choice, because this is what they need for their mental health, for their physical health. And we have women that, see this or women who end up in a situation where they need this to save their own lives. Abortion care is life-saving care. And so I'll keep my remarks very brief for us. But, you will see this on your ballot this November as question 6. And then since this is a constitutional amendment, you'll see us again in 2026. I'm sure very soon you will see us on the television, in our ads, and Facebook. So much, I'm sure you'll be sick of us. But the payoff here is that we'll have the constitutional right for our abortion. So, keep an eye out for all of our ads. Tell your friends. The most powerful thing we can do this election is talk to our friends and family about this. Access to abortion and our reproductive health care is a kitchen table conversation. It's a conversation that we should be having with our friends and family, not only to ensure that they are able to access the care that they need and know that our laws and ability to access care in the state, but so that we are ensuring that they're going out and voting for their own freedoms, not just at the top of the ticket, but for what will be the second to last question on our entire ballot. So we need to encourage our friends and family to go from the top, voting for who we believe represents our rights and our freedoms, but going all the way down to the bottom to directly vote for our freedom and our right to an abortion in this state. So you will see us throughout the year. I'll make sure to pass along my information to Naomi as well. You're always welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions about the campaign. But we will see you in November when you all vote yes. Yay.